Hi guys, welcome to the 6th installment on my series on chord tone soloing. This week we will be talking about pentatonic interchange. Stay tuned. Pentatonics is one of my favorite fields of study. There's so many things that you can do with pentatonics, even from within just the standard pentatonic family. This video will introduce to you some concepts which you've never heard or seen before, but bear with me, I will try to keep theory out of it. Hopefully by the end of the lesson, you would have expanded your knowledge and appreciation for pentatonics as it had done for me. One topic we do need to discuss, however, is the concept of tensions. Very briefly, if a scale tone is a half step above a chord tone, we want to avoid those notes as much as possible. If it is a half step below a chord tone, that means that note is an available tension. A tension can exist harmonically, meaning as part of the chord, or melodically, meaning as part of the line or melody. Today, we are primarily dealing with the latter. Last week, I talked about arpeggios being used in chord tone soloing by connecting them with the underlying scale tones. The second method of using arpeggios is to look at pentatonic scales. I remember reading in a magazine article about how Jimi Hendrix used the pentatonic, E minor pentatonic, right? But within that, it contained the E minor 7 arpeggio, which is... Okay, so essentially the top note of this pentatonic, E, G, B, D, are actually the notes of the E minor 7 arpeggio or the E minor 7 chord. So it dawned on me that sometimes a pentatonic scale would contain the notes of a chord tone with an additional note. So this led me down the path of actually researching chord tone soloing using pentatonics. So let us apply this concept onto the blues in D, as we've been using all the while. So over the one chord, D7, we shall be using the Ritsu scale. If this is the first time you're joining me and the term Ritsu scale is new to you, please check out my video on rethinking pentatonics. So over the one chord, we'll be using the Ritsu or Scottish pentatonic scale shape, which is... Sometimes you'd call this as your form 4 pentatonic, right? But if you've been following me, you know I've named this using the Scottish pentatonic or the Ritsu scale name. Please check out my video on rethinking pentatonics. Now, so over the one chord we use Scottish pentatonic. Over the 4 chord, let us use the Egyptian scale or the Egyptian pentatonic, which goes like this. Right, formerly form 2 of the pentatonic scale. You notice the difference is only one note, which is this note being moved forward by 1 fret, move forward by 1 fret. So it's just a difference of only one note. Okay, so again, the first chord, the 1-7 we use, the 4 chord we use, and then when it comes to the 5 chord, A7, we will use the standard A major pentatonic. And it's all happening within the same location around the 5th position. Okay, so with that, you can probably even hear the chord tones changing. For instance, Something like that. So what were we doing? Okay, very quickly, this sequence of pentatonic scale changes meant that you are using the major pentatonic throughout according to the root note. So that means in D blues is D, G, and A. That means you're doing D major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, and A major pentatonic. Now, what other pentatonic scales can we use? Okay, so let us explore over the same position. Let's use this pentatonic shape. Okay, so I want you to think of this as your D minor, right? Essentially, we can play D minor pentatonic over D blues, right? Similar to your, say, D like this. We can also use the D blues scale. So the only note that you need to be mindful of is this note, which is a sharp 9. It is a half step below your chord tone. So remember, as I stated earlier, if a note is a half step below a chord tone, you can use it, right? Because it is an available tension. And that is why we can use the D minor or the D blues, because it contains a sharp 9. Right, so in this location, the D minor pentatonic is part of the Banshiki-Cho shape. We can use this as your safe scale. If you ever get lost, always come back to this pentatonic shape at this location. Okay. Another approach that we can use is to use this shape over your 4 chord. Okay, that means back to your D7, go back to the Scottish pentatonic. But when it comes to G7, the 4 chord, this is where you can use, right, over the 5 chord, go back to your major pentatonic. Okay, so essentially we're substituting the 4 chord with the Banshiki-Cho shape. Something like that. Now, another pentatonic shape that we can use is the minor pentatonic. Right, so when do we use the minor pentatonic? A minor pentatonic. Okay, we can use this also over the 5 chord. The 5 chord on A7. Okay, let's just do a quick analysis. Traditionally, A7 has a major third. Okay, so the chord tones are A, C sharp, E, and G. But if you were to use A minor pentatonic, A, C, E, G, all of the chord tones are the same except C and C sharp. In the chord, it exists as a C sharp, but in the scale, if you were to play the C, again, it is a half step below the chord tone, right? Making this a sharp 9. A sharp 9 is a tension of your dominant 7th chord, right? So we all know the Hendrix chord, which contains a sharp 9, but we are using the sharp 9 here melodically, okay? So Over the 5 chord, right, you can use the A minor pentatonic as a substitution, okay? Just be mindful about the C note. Okay, let's go. Now you're starting to see some options. Okay, let us try this. We know that we can use the Form 3 or the Banshiki-Cho over the 4 chord. We can also use it over the 1 chord and the 5 chord, using it throughout as the D minor scale or the D blues, right? Let us try to use the minor pentatonic, which is only a difference of 1 note from the Banshiki-Cho, which is the F to the E, right? Okay, so we can actually use the minor pentatonic over the 4 chord, that means the G chord. Why is that so? Because G7 is the 5 chord of the key of C major. Okay, this is only for those who want the theory. Okay, G7, G mixolydian, is the 5 chord of C major, which is also in the key of A minor. So therefore, this pentatonic shape also exists in C major, A minor, and G7. Also exists over the 4 chord. Okay, so that's the main reason. And in the previous exercise, we know that we can use the minor pentatonic over the 5 chord. Now we can use them over the 4 chord as well as the 5 chord. Okay, so another possible scenario is over the 1 chord we use the Banshiki-Cho, over the 4 and the 5 we use the minor pentatonic. Or we can use over the 4 chord and the 5 chord the Banshiki-Cho throughout, because it is your standard minor, your safe scale, right? So let me demonstrate using both. Now, pentatonic interchange also refers to interchanging between your pentatonic shapes as well as the things that we've covered in the previous levels. So for instance, your scalar interchange, your arpeggios, right? Your guide tone soloing. You can interchange between your pentatonics and all of this for your cumulative learning. So let me demonstrate. So that's it, guys, for this week's lesson on pentatonic interchange. I hope it has expanded your interest at the very least into pentatonics and how you can use them beyond the traditional way. If you like this video, please smash the like button and hit the subscribe and notification bells. I'm also on Patreon, please support me there so I can continue to make awesome guitar videos. In the next video, I will introduce my own system, which I call the Hefny Pentatonic system of altered pentatonics. So see you then. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.